But yeah, we need 5. Let's see. We have 7, so we need 4 for our quorum because we have 7 official at the moment. Here comes Commissioner Firamonte. Perfect. All right. I think we'll wait 1 more minute just to see if we have anyone else trickle in, and then we'll get started.
Where's Amy, Donnie?
She's hiding behind her master controls, so she's
Okay.
she has 20 different things going on at once. So you'll see her. You'll see her when her time comes to talk. She'll pop in. All right. Well, I think we're okay to start. So we'll see if anyone else trickles in. That's fine. I like to start on time. So if the chair wants to start the meeting, I think we're ready to go.
All right. I need a gavel, but I don't have one. Okay. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. And Donnie, would you please do our Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
All right.
Go ahead, and I think we're gonna wait 1 second here. And all right, we'll go ahead and salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. So I'll go ahead and do roll call. Chair Uresti?
Here.
Vice Chair Duncan? Commissioner Daly? Commissioner Firamonte?
Here.
Perfect. Commissioner Graybell?
Here.
Commissioner Garola? And Commissioner Pommier?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
If I'm doing this wrong, Donnie, you tell me, okay? So am I good? Okay.
You're perfect.
Okay, so now we will hear oral communications from the public. So Ms. Capone, are you here to speak to us today?
Yes, I am. Donnie, is this public comment time or is it a scheduled matter thing?
So you'll be under the report section, and so we'll hold off on yours since yours is going to be on the report. So you'll be in just a little bit longer.
Thank you.
I apologize, Kathy.
No, that's fine. And I don't see anyone else from the public, and we did offer the ability to have written communication via email, and we haven't received any unless we just recently have, which Ms. Graybell would chime in if we did, but I'm pretty sure we haven't. So I think we do not have any oral communication.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then did everyone have a chance to approve the minutes from the November 5th, 2020 meeting? been a while since we met. Everybody have a chance to review those. Are there any questions? No. Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
sweet. Can I get
I'll
a second?
second it. I'll
Sweet.
second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, awesome. So the motion passes. Does that matter, Donnie? Because we don't have a quorum, or?
We actually do, because there's 7 seats right now, so we're fine. So that does.
Okay, okay, I just didn't want to do something we're not supposed to. So you said there's no correspondence, and so now we're on to item number 7, reports.
Yes, and Miss Capone has joined us tonight, and she is, as you all are aware, done a ton of stuff down at the Thule River Parkway, and so she is going to give the commission an update tonight.
So I provided an outline of the different gardens and a picture. Do you want to put that on the screen?
So we
Okay.
we'll let the, I'm sorry, just really fast, we'll let the record show that Commissioner Garola is in attendance as well. Perfect. So go ahead, Miss Capone.
So this is a listing of the gardens. Because there's so many of them, I decided not to write you a description of what each one is doing. And so overall, at the top of the page, there are 19 gardens have been adopted. My plan was to have 18 gardens, and more people have been coming than I had planned to make available. But in the way we planned the gardens, our plan was to provide a variety of spaces that people could choose. So that meant we had to plan, I felt we had to plan for more than 18 spaces, right? So there was a potential that, anyway, I gave in, right? And we have 19 gardens adopted. 7 are complete. 6 have major work completed in. 1 is about half complete. 3 gardens have just begun. They have been begun. And 2 are adopted but not yet started. So this is a listing of the 19 gardens and the different groups that have adopted them and their contact information. These gardens are between J Street, going on the Parkway, from J Street going west to where it curves around that larger low bank shelf, and then up to where the pathway comes up to Parkway Drive. So between the Parkway Drive, Oakview intersection and J Street along the Thule River Parkway. And I'm glad to give any or all of you tours of the site, or you can just go on your own and see what's going on. It's winter in the gardens, so we have only a small amount of plants flowering. And this spring should be outstanding. Our oldest plants were planted 2 winters ago. Almost all the plants were planted between last 2021 March and 2021 February through May is when the most of the plants were planted. So these are all young gardens. Our 3 latest gardens are the Willow Forest Garden, which is adopted by a group of cadets, and they planted, if I'm not mistaken, it was 26 trees, where 24 of them were willows, 1's a sycamore, and 1 is, I think it's an elderberry, if I'm remembering correctly. And those were just recently planted. They have irrigation to them. They will grow very fast. They'll have a very big impact visually. Another recently planted garden is the Alianza Ecologista Garden, and that is about half planted. It was very recently planted. Another recent planted garden is the Memorial Garden, and that is planted by 2 families who don't now live in Porterville, who used to live in Porterville. and they're planting it in memory of Don Zuxworth, the founder of the Thule River Parkway Association, and the person who had the vision to have an environmental educational facility along the parkway and make the river, then make the river corridor available and accessible to people. So I'm available if you have any questions or you want to know anything about any of the specific gardens. And this is pictures. So we have the Burton Children's Garden, which was outstanding last year with a humongous display of fuchsias in a red-orange color. And then the girls' garden to the right there, this is a group of about 10-year-old girls who've come together and really begged their moms to make a garden. And so these girls and their moms have made a garden. And then below that to the left, one of the groups that have not adopted a garden, but who have come out repeatedly to volunteer. And we have that too. We have people who are coming out to volunteer who haven't adopted gardens because they didn't want to make a long-term commitment, but they wanted to make a difference. And so these are Mormon missionary females and also Mormon missionary males come out also and volunteer at the gardens. They've been a great help and they really enjoy coming out. Coming out and working in the outdoors is a joy in life. Then to your right there, you'll see the bladder pods blooming, and they have bloomed from March. No, wait a minute. Those are the oldest plants that are planted in the garden, those bladder pods, and they were planted about 2 years ago now. And they have been blooming since March of 2021 through the current time. They are still blooming. We've had such a mild winter, they bloomed the whole year long. And then down a little bit is the Eco, on your left is the Alianza Ecologista Garden, and that is Dalia Gonzalez. She is I want to get the school right. I think it's Monachi graduate this last year. And she worked with Amanda Driver with the Environmental Sciences Academy, and she's also worked with Nancy Bruce, who works for SciCon at Circle J. She now, in a group that she belongs to, she's heading up a garden group, and that's she and her friend constructed that raised bed, and that's it looks really good to my eyes. That's chunks of broken concrete. And then they piled dirt inside this mound that's bordered by the chunks of concrete. And in back of her, you can see some wood chips on the ground. There are plants, native plants planted in the wood chips, and she'll put more native plants in that raised bed garden. And so that's the Alianza Ecologista Garden. And the memorial garden to your right is that, like I said, the group of 2 families who have come together. And the woman that you see, my people are over the top of me, so I'm going to move you guys. Okay, so that woman that you see in the blue pants, she is the daughter of Don Zuxworth. And that's her husband there. And her family and another family have gotten together to plant a garden in memory of Don. So I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. I really enjoyed the tour in November. It made me sad because a lot of stuff was dead. So I can't wait to go out in the spring and see everything when it's blooming and pretty and everything. But thank you so much for all the work you're doing. I know it's hard, and yeah, it's hard.
So our next 2 planting days, our garden days, are going to be Saturday the 13th and Saturday the 20th, and it's going to be in the morning, starting about 8 o'clock each day. And this is a group of cadets that are going to come out, and they're going to be working on one of their garden areas. They planted the willow forest, and now they're going to be doing it's basically a plaza that they're going to be creating. It's a large garden with two intersecting pathways going through it, and the center will be a plaza with a tree.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Thank
So
you.
each of these gardens is designed differently. All of them have different mixture of plants, but all the plants are California natives.
Okay. What time will you be out there on those days?
Oh, I believe between 8 and 12.
Okay. All right.
I
Thank
missed
you.
one other most recently planted garden. There's a group, Girl Scout troop, 397, I think is the number. And they came out and the girls have witnessed, had been to the coastal monarch butterfly wintering habitat on the California coast and saw that there were so few. I think they said they only saw 5 butterflies. And usually there are like millions of butterflies. And there's real population drop. I mean, it's like decimated population of the Western monarch butterflies. And they saw that and it affected them greatly. And they came back and they said, we want to make a difference in our community to help the monarch butterflies. And so they came to me and we talked it out. And they are doing a butterfly habitat. It's not, I mean, it'll be for any butterfly, specifically for monarchs, but we don't know if we're going to get, I mean, this is an area that we could have monarch butterflies, but whether the population will continue, there's debate whether it can sustain itself. There'll still be monarch butterflies on the eastern migratory path that goes from Canada down to Mexico. That still exists, but we don't know if California monarchs are going to continue to exist or will be extinct.
That's crazy. I mean, because I know all the concerns over the bees, but now you've got that and just, oh, it's so scary, isn't it? Everything. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much though. We really appreciate you. And I'm going to try to get out there on the 13th or the 20th just to come and see what they're doing and maybe help a little bit. I'm not a big yard work person, obviously. So, but thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation and for your continue all your hours out there. It's really appreciated. So.
All right, Mr. Moore, are we ready to do the report on council actions?
Yes, and let me turn my light back on because it's like a motion light. So hold on 1 second. Gotta get up and move around and do some jumping jacks. All right. So since our last meeting, November 17th through February 2nd is when the city council has had meetings. And there's been a few items Parks and Leisure related since then. First one, the military banner program. The city council did approve the commission's new banner location recommendations. And they appointed the newly council member Carrillo to the upcoming military banner committee that will be formed and predicted to probably hold their first meeting here in about another month or two. So we will keep you updated on that. Next up, authorization for roof coating and repairs to Centennial Plaza building. So the office that we're in now needed some roof repairs, and so city council authorized repairs for that. And the next item was a weed abatement program, which previously the city contracted those services out. And now this year, the city has decided to take that on as an in-house project and a program. And it's going to fall under Parks and Leisure. So we were authorized to hire 1 full-time staff. We're in the process of hiring some part-time staff. And then we got approval to purchase a lot of the equipment for a new startup program. So we'll keep you updated as that program evolves. It's going to be quite a bit of an undertaking, but it'll be good to have that in-house, and our department will work closely with code enforcement and the fire department. And so it'll be a lot more efficient having it with those two departments as opposed to an outside contractor. Next up, relating to the OHV Park and the annual grant, we did get approval to purchase a used dozer. And so that was one thing that was in our grant last year, that the state did award us money up to, this cost about $75,000, just a little bit over that. And so we purchased that after an extensive search. Used dozers, you really have to look for them up and down the state, and they come and go off the market really quick. And so we were able to get one from West Sacramento that should be arriving very shortly. And then the final thing was just the quarterly reports. As you know, we do an OHV park and a golf course quarterly report to the city council requested by them. And once again, this quarter, just similar to last quarter, ever since COVID-19, there's just so few of things, as you all know, to do, that the golf course and outside activity, as well as the OHV park, those are activities that have been in facilities open, and people have flooded out to them. So it's been great for those two facilities. You can see compared to last year, the numbers, starting with the golf course, every single one of those months, October, November, and December, was an extremely big jump in revenue like we haven't seen in a long, long time. So that's very exciting. And then over to the OHV park, we had a big jump in October. November last year, we had a really good year. And so this November was a little bit down actually, but still good numbers. And then our December skyrocketed back up as opposed to last year. The other contributing factor to both of those things, the weather, which for these two, they don't really like to see rain too much, but obviously we need a lot of rain, and rain is great. But for OHV and for golf course, when it rains, that limits their ability to be open. So as far as the operators go, sometimes they don't always do the rain dances to have the rain because it lets more people out there. So those were the two main factors in those numbers being up so high. That concludes those reports. I'd be happy to answer any questions. If not, we will go to the scheduled matters.
All right, any questions on that? All right, thank you, Donnie, that's awesome. Let's move on to scheduled matters. Number 1, the Prop 68 per capita grant program.
All right, and this item has been before the commission on more than one occasion, but we started to dive into it at our last meeting, and it was requested to go ahead and bring the item back for this meeting. And at this meeting, we were going to review the projects, the potential projects that could be purchased with Prop 68. This is a per capita grant program. There's a few different Prop 68 different programs with that funding. This is one that the city received $177,952. And the application has to be submitted by December. So we have to have our project decided by then, but we like to get things started, as quick as we can. So that's why we're going to be having this item before you tonight, and then we will take it to City Council before too long as well. So the projects must be completed by February of 2023. And the good thing about this is that we will not need to provide any matching funds. And after we talk about this item, we're going to vote on these two different things separately. You're going to be ranking them and prioritizing them. And the other, I think we have, so we'll look at the Prop 68 slides first. We'll review those projects. And then we'll talk about the community development block grant. That's the other set of funding and projects that we'll talk about. And then we'll go ahead and get your priority votes. Ms. Grable has it all set up for you. And so we'll do that after. But just to review, just to show you a few pictures to refresh your memory, and keeping in mind that it's not too late. So tonight, if there's anything that since our last meeting that's come up, or if it trigger something tonight that you want added as a write-in to our ballot, if you will, we'd be happy to do that. It's not too late. So these are just some of the items that would fit within the funding that we have allocated. So the first one is this mini pitch lighted arena soccer field. So you see that on the screen. It comes all, people would come out, they would install that. It comes with the artificial turf. It comes with the lights. And it's just like a mini soccer field, but it could be used for other uses as well, multi-sports if needed. The next thing is sports complex practice field lighting. So there's the map of the sports complex. And like we've mentioned before, we estimate that the amount of funding for this grant would probably provide lights from the ditch when you drive straight into the sports complex. There's a little ditch there, if you will, and then heading west to about where the snack bar is. So that would most likely light up with ample lighting for practices, not necessarily super tall highlights for, sanctioned tournaments and things like that, but this would provide practice lighting for that amount of funding. So that would be the next item. And then after that, sticking with the sports complex, we have the perimeter lighted walking and jogging trail. So on the outskirts of the sports complex grass, sometimes you'll see parents when their kids are practicing out there doing more and more jogging and walking while their kids are playing, they're able to get their exercise in. So this would provide, something other than just the grass out there, but an actual trail that would be lighted for people. And then also to host potential 5K events and things like that. Porterville High School, as of now, uses the sports complex as their home area to host their cross-country meets. And so they may, if we did this, choose to use some of that as well for their meets. Next item is called a challenge fitness course. This would be something that you would see like on a playground, but there's a lot of new ways to exercise, and it's built for kids, but even adults can do it as well. So you can see sort of from the picture that it's like the new wave of, it's not the old playgrounds with the slides and things, but this is a lot more of like a fitness type, almost like an obstacle course, you could call it. And they call it a challenge fitness course. The next thing is a pump track, which skateboards, bicycles, scooters could get on something like this. And it's just another, instead of a fenced in skate park with like you see at Veterans Park, this is a little bit more of a track, I guess, if you will. So this is something else that's fairly new, catching on. Next item is a large picnic shelter. This is something that we've talked about before. The city has picnic shelters in the parks, but not really one to seat more than around 70 or so people. So this would just enable some really large parties when the time comes to be able to have these big parties again, which hopefully will be before too long. But this is something that if you've been out to Bartlett Park, they have a couple really big ones out there. Next item is a band shell, something that we do not have as well. That's just a sample picture of one there. So that's something that has been discussed and as a need that we do not have in the city. Everyone knows how big our music is in Porterville and all the different bands and potential people that could use that even as a performance stage as well. And then there's two more. One is at Zalad Park. We have an existing decomposed granite trail that's in need of some renovation. So a project would put down some new paved a new trail basically for that, and then as well put in most likely some solar powered lights similar to what you would see at Veterans Park. So that would be a trail renovation at Zalad Park, and the red line is the existing trail where we would put that right over it. And then the last item is at Murray Park, just some in general lighting out there. It gets really dark at night and we don't have too many lights within that park. and you know how it all sits down really low. And so you don't really get any street lights or anything as well in the main part of the park. So this project would just put some of the solar lights again, probably is what we would do out there. And those are the projects that were listed. And you can let me know if there's any questions right now on that before we move on to the CDBG. I'll touch on that, and then we'll go ahead and do our prioritization on both of them.
Donnie, really quick, on the Murray Park lights, how many would you be able to put out there? I thought last time it was only a few, like with the $177,000. Like how much?
That's a good question. And we actually, the lights, I think I misspoke at the last meeting on those. They're more like around the lights that were put in at Veterans Park. Those single light poles with the solar lights, those were around 6,000. And I think I said 60,000 at the last meeting, which was a lot off. I think I just misspoke on that one. So if you do the math on that, you probably, get close to, well, with tax and everything, I mean, you could probably call it, I don't know, 20 or so, maybe safely by the time we do planning and tax and everything else. And so that would get a pretty decent amount of that lit out there, actually. So that could make a good difference.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up.
Donnie, I have a quick question. Can you go to the slide for the sports complex practice field lighting? Because this is, I think, a little bit different than maybe if I misheard it the first time around. So
Okay.
the lighting that it would cover, like you said, that area from the snack bar to the goalie. So there wouldn't be any lighting on the what would be the southeast side, where they already have that one football field. So there would be no lighting over there.
Correct. So what's over there is conduit for future lighting as well. But our quotes that we've received in the past for this type of lighting would cover just from, I don't know, I'm sure you can't see my mouse. Miss Graybell's mouse is going. So from the ditch, right when you come into the sports complex, right there where you see the arrow, it would be from there over to the snack bar, which is right there. So that area, it's deceptive on this map. You really can't, I mean, it's a pretty big, area, but no, it would not cover anything on the eastern portion. You're correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions?
Can you show me the walking on that, where the lights would be for the walking? I was just curious.
So we'll pull that one back.
Sorry,
back
Andy.
up. No, those are all good questions. This is our big ticket item of the night. It's not every day you get to have input on some fun park amenities. So this is a great conversation.
And Donnie, nobody from the public has said, hey, we really want blah, blah, blah. Nobody said anything.
Not on these, no. There's been articles in the paper, and I think there was a mention of this funding. We've taken some polls on recreation features that the community wants in general, but we're gearing those more towards our grants for like a future community like recreation center. But then at that site, there's also room for outside amenities. So some of these amenities that we're talking about tonight are crossover to potentially at that site, depending on the funding that we would get. And so there has been some public input on some of these features for another location. That's where we generated some of these ideas from, actually, is from the public. So if you look at this map, these dotted lines in the blue and the orange, that just goes around the perimeter, and it shows you the mileage. There's been some 5K runs out there before. Actually, Commissioner Garola, he spearheaded a couple huge neon runs for his work, and he was the main guy. So he put on some outstanding events out there at the sports complex. And so this is where you would have lights basically on those dotted lines. We would see how far we could get, with the funding. Does that answer your question? Like where they would go basically?
Yeah.
We would keep them on the perimeter, just because when you have a big, huge open field like that, obviously the more you put lights like in the middle of, say, the big grassy area, then you're taking away from soccer fields and football fields. And so you need to plan carefully and keep things on the perimeter.
Okay.
And
So say I start my own soccer league and I want to play at night. Do the taxpayers pay that? Like, how does that for the electricity, or do I have to pay for that? How does that work?
So new lights out there, we have our light fees set up, and those are adopted by the city council. So when a youth sports or an adult sports league plays at night, there is a field usage fee, and then there's a light fee. So say at the sports complex, we've had an adult soccer league play at the far southeast portion where Commissioner Palmier was talking about, where there used to be some football going on. There's some lights out there for football. Well, there was an adult soccer league that would play out there under those lights. So they do pay for those. When people go out and play, like you see tons of youth sports, soccer leagues and things every fall, in a normal situation, in a normal year, they use the sports complex, and it's first come, first serve unless you pay. So if you pay to play out there or practice, or you reserve a spot, so that spot is guaranteed yours if you pay. If not, you run the risk of going out there and someone else being there for the field usage. And then the lights would definitely be something that people would pay. So that's a good point, because it's easy to say, let's have lights out there, but those leagues would need to, put that in their budget and make sure that they have that money to pay for those lights, say they wanted to practice or whatever, or hold little kids games or something at night. So yes, if that answers your question.
It does. Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions on that? Did you want to go over the next one and then come make it,
Yeah, so the way our little prioritization, our survey is laid out tonight is you'll do one, and then you'll like forward the page and go on to the second one. So we'll go ahead and touch on the CDBG park improvement ones now. So that way you'll have all that information. And then when it's time to make your votes, it's basically, it's two separate polls, but it's one page right after the other. So you'll be doing them together. So at this time, if there's nothing else, we'll just go ahead and start on the CDBG. There was one more I did in the email I forgot, and I almost forgot for the second time, the artificial turf at Centennial Plaza at the park right here next to our plaza. So that was something we've talked about before, and this funding would be more, it's still most likely going to fall actually in the Prop 68 pot of money as opposed to the CDBG. So that's why I added it onto this one tonight. I think before it's said and done, it would fall more under the this Prop 68 funding. So we were going to add that to your options tonight for this first part. So we just talked about that would be something that would be artificial turf. There's not much to it, but that would offer a consistent look out there at the park. So thank you for putting that up. And then, like I said, you can think of some other ideas. So moving on, if there's nothing else, the CDBG, which is a community development block grant, we get some funding. Typically every year we've been blessed to get some of this funding for park improvement projects. And this year it's estimated around $95,000. And the projects different from what we just talked about, where those could be spent pretty much anywhere in the city, these have to be falling in particular census tracts. And so Murray Park and Zalad Park and Fallen Heroes Park are the ones that these projects need to fall under at the moment. And this is subject to change year to year. Sometimes the census tracts change a little bit. So the few projects that we've talked about and we'll go over again tonight. First one is just some senior citizen fitness equipment, which we do not have anywhere in the city. This is just an example of a few that are geared strictly for senior citizens. And then the next slide is just a couple more that seniors could use, just some cardio equipment, but regular adults could use either of these as well. So those are just some fitness equipment, and especially that first slide was geared strictly and designed for seniors. The next thing are mini picnic shelters. We were able to, or I'm sorry, I'm out of order here. Concrete cornhole. So we put in the concrete ping pong table at Zalad Park with last year's CDBG park improvement funds. And this would be something that would go next to the ping pong tables potentially. And so we could put in probably like side-by-side cornhole sets. So there'd be two of them out there. So that's what those would look like. And you'll see the little, I guess the V shape in front of that. I've talked before. Those are designed so it makes it tougher on skateboarders to go up those things. So it's a little bit of a preventative measure. That's what those are if you're wondering. And then the next slide are those picnic shelters. And with this funding from last year, we were able to add 2 at Zalad Park. So, and those have been successful. And as we've talked about before, picnic shelters typically are extremely popular. More times than not, every one that we have in every park is rented on a nice weather weekend. Once again, all these are when we're out of COVID-19, which hopefully will be sooner than later. The next slide, that's just some example of some outdoor fitness equipment. The only outdoor fitness equipment we currently have is at Fallen Heroes Park. And so this would be potentially putting in some of these type of things in other parks. And fitness equipment, as you know, right now is flying off the charts at the stores because the fitness, the gyms haven't been able to be open. So that's something else that would potentially be popular, but this would be outside. My light just went off again, so I probably look like I'm in the dark, but we'll just continue on for a second. We're trying to save money here in the city. All right, and Miss Grable just came in and saved me. Turn on the light really fast. And she's also the one in the next office over that's going to move this slide over. So talk about multitasking here. So we have some playground equipment pieces. We just left this general terms. Those are just potential pieces that could pop up. We would definitely pick some things that we do not have currently. There's so many different pieces out there these days. We do not have any room in our current playgrounds to add huge pieces of equipment, but we definitely could add little pieces to, add to what's currently out there. So those are just some ideas. And I believe that's our last slide that we've talked about. Another potential use of these funds could be to leverage some other funding received for ongoing projects and improvements, say at the Henry Street Park property just north of Murray Park. We've talked about some cleanups that have been taking place out there with CSET and how we're going to be turning that into a park for the public over time here. We're working on that. So some of these funds could potentially be used as matching funds to, say, a CSET grant down the road. So that's another option. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. That wraps up those ideas. And again, if there's any other that you can think of, we'd be happy to put those on here, make sure those get included in your vote.
All right, Donnie. So what do you want us to do now then? Click on the link in the chat box?
So Ms. Graybill will set that up if there's no, I just want to make sure there wasn't any other
Oh, sorry.
questions or comments
Questions?
or any added projects for either. Is there any other input?
Jason, Diane, Tom, Jason, both Jasons, two Jasons.
Yeah, we got two of them now. So the one thing I do want to, so this is, I just want to make sure we are making a recommendation as a Parks and Leisure Commission, but potentially with increased, public comment, the city council could invariably go in a different direction should they decide to do that.
That is correct.
Okay.
So what your top priorities will be tonight, those will be included in the staff report to the city council. And then the city council will see what the Parks and Leisure Services Commission recommended. And then it'll be up to the city council to go with the commission's recommendation, or they could go in a completely different direction. They could even add a different project that's not on these. So you're correct.
Okay. Because and it's funny, it's been months since we've really had this, and now we've seen the impact of what COVID has done for everything. I think a lot of these projects probably were a lot different than what we were even thinking about 6 months to a year ago. The one thing that I've always thought, I'm a big picture person, as you probably figured out by now, and the reason I'm kind of pushing towards a sports complex is now we're thinking outside the box of what potentially could happen probably within the next 5 to 10 years. I know that the latest is the Thule River tribe has decided they'll build the casino, but they're going to hold off on the hotel, obviously, because it's impacted everybody. But what I'm thinking too is, and I was just thinking about this even before the meeting started, potentially down the road when that hotel gets completed and you have a sports complex that's within walking distance, I can only imagine the type of events that you could have there for people from out of town that are going to be at the hotel, whether it's a soccer tournament, whether you could potentially set up an outdoor stage to do concerts out there. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And I don't know a lot of facilities where you have an airport, a hotel, and a huge sports complex all within the same thing on top of what seeing what the project is going to be. But, and I know there's, Donnie, I know being here for over 5 years now, I have been to a couple of council meetings, and I know there's been some concerns for members of the public about the sports complex. But I think if you got it there, but again, it's tough to make moves because you want to think about short term, but that was just the one thing I was thinking about long term. That could be just a gold mine out there for sure.
Yeah.
All right,
Any other-
Donnie, what do you want us to do then?
Any other, if there's no other comments, we'll go ahead and how this will work is Ms. Grayball, she put this together, and you're just going to be ranking these projects, which I know is very difficult. Hopefully you've had a little time to look at them and think about them. But you'll be ranking them from number 1 will be the one that you like is your favorite, if you will, or whatever is like most needed, whatever, however you look at this. And then it would go down to the last one would be like your least choice, I guess. So you'll do that and for the first set of projects, and then you'll advance your screen to the next one, which will be your second, I guess we can call it a poll, if you will. And then after everyone has time to do it, then you all will see all the results. So this time, Ms. Graybell, if she has anything else to say on how this will work, she's a mastermind behind all this.
And so this is individual. So this is not one group. So if I make these selections, it's just going to be for my particular vote, correct?
Oh, we can't hear Miss Graybell. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. think I have too many screens going on. You're each going to take an individual poll, so we won't see, your results as you're taking them, but you're welcome to discuss them. It's just an online survey. There's just 2 questions. And the first one will be that first set of projects that Donnie talked about, the Prop 68 per capita group. You're just going to rank them. I think there's 9 or 10. You'll just rank them 1 through 10. You can actually just click on the title and just drag and move it to your ranking, and then you'll advance to the next screen and you'll rank that second set of projects, which was like the fitness equipment and the more park related projects. And then you'll complete the survey. I think you have to click OK. And then by the end of it, I can kind of tally everything, and then we'll pull up the results and show you. The way you get to the survey is in the chat box. For those on Zoom, we have it in the chat box. So commissioners, if you'll pull up your chat, if you don't know how, if you can't find it, you'll push the more button. And you should be able to grab that link and it'll open up into your web browser. So if you have any, go ahead.
Yeah, so this will just be a collective result vote, but it's still up to the commission. I mean, it's still not too late. If you'd rather do it, another way, we could, verbally or something. But if you wanted to also just see how these come out, and then from there, we're still going to need to make a motion tonight on this. And so after you see the results, if you still, want to talk about it more, we can, we'll definitely do that before a motion's made. But this is just one way would just be to get this collective just to see, as a commission as a whole, it'll determine as a whole, like your priority 1 through 10 or whatever. So
I like this because I feel like it's unbiased. It's not who it's coming from or anything. It's hearing what. So it's good. It's really good.
all right, I think if we're ready, then Miss Grabo will pull that up on the screen here in a second, and then
Good job, Amy.
and if there are questions, you can ask them out loud while you're doing it, or you can put them in the chat and she will answer them as well. I think there's about 20 minimized screens she has working with right now. So it's like the
Just
air
waiting for
traffic,
your
traffic control at LAX or something, I think is.
We could do a write-in of solar panel to provide extra lighting for the Parks and Leisure office.
The light will go out again here. I guarantee you.
I was just watching the number of people completing it, so just wanted to give a few more minutes or a few more seconds to let everybody complete it.
All right. So it looks like there's your results for the first one with the sports complex practice field lighting. Looks like coming out on top and then all the way down. And then the next one, it looks like the fitness equipment and then the senior fitness equipment. So that second number 2 there's a chance on the funding that we'll be able to get multiple ones. And those are the ones that we will actually propose, the city council doesn't, some of those items, if they're under $5,000, say for a piece of playground equipment, those ones wouldn't even need to go to the city council. If say we use 3 or 4 of those, typically we'll package those up if it comes from one vendor, and then they'll just approve that one purchase from that one vendor, is like what we did last year on the CDBG. So, but there's a chance on that one that you would see multiple of those off that list being able to be done. And then the first one is your more high-end dollar ones. And so that would just be, probably the one. I can tell you that the one you picked on top there, the sports complex, the practice field lighting, that's the one where we've mentioned before, there's around $61,000 still in the city's budget for lighting. And it's it's always been talked about being used at the sports complex. And so that would most likely be added to this, call it $180,000. So you'd have $240,000. So you could potentially get a little bit more of that turf lit out there. It'd be a little bit more money. And the city council.
Could you possibly do that and the walking trail maybe, or no?
No, that lighting, that would eat up that lighting pretty quickly there. So, anyway, we'll appreciate you guys voting on those things. I know if I was voting, I would have a hard time because I think we need all of those things and I would love to see all of them. So it'd be hard to prioritize those. So thank you for that. And we will let you know, and you can follow, I'm sure the recorder as well. Once we bring that to city council and they make the recommendations, that'll be out there, and I'll send you guys an email too if it happens before we meet next. So, all righty, that wraps up those items.
So you don't need a motion on that or anything? We're good?
Yes. So you can go ahead and we can get a motion. Just do them separately. And so on that first one, the motion could just be that that city staff takes that prioritized list to the city council for, they recommend that list in that order, basically.
Okay. Does anybody have any concerns? Are we all good with that? We're good? Okay. May I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the commission's recommendations to city staff for Prop 68 per capita grant program. The recommendations from the commission.
Perfect.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. All right. So now with the CDBG park improvement projects, can I get a motion on that just to take those in the order that we have them in and to city council for approval?
So moved.
Thank you. May I get a second? Diane? Okay, any further discussion? We're good? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we're good, Donnie?
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
All right, still getting used to this. It's awkward. Okay, can we move on to scheduled matters number 3, the virtual Arbor Day event?
All right. So the Tree City USA program is a national program that you all are aware of by now. The 2021 Arbor Day is April 30th. And what the Arbor Day Foundation has put together on their website are some ideas for virtual events. As they know, several different states will still be under the no gathering or very small limits and gatherings, no special events, things like that. So they are offering to continue the program. City staff has put in an application for us to be continued as a Arbor Day Tree USA city. And the requirements, once again, to remain as in that status, maintaining a tree board, which you as Parks and Leisure Services Commissioners, you do also qualify and serve in that tree city board role every year, just by bringing it up to this meeting, and we keep you apprised of different things parks related and regarding this ceremony every year. So that qualifies as a tree city board. Also having a tree city ordinance, which the city council passed many years ago. Spending at least $2 per capita on urban forestry, which we're up over $3. We never really get too close to that bottom threshold on that. So that's never a problem. And then celebrating Arbor Day, which if we did it this year, then it would be a virtual. So this was just a staff informational item, just in case you were wondering. We don't meet again until it would be after this date. And so I wanted to bring it to your attention tonight. And I will keep you updated if we do come up with some plans for a virtual Arbor Day, which I think we will do. So if there's any questions or comments, I can take them now, but that was just more of an informational item. It's kind of tricky now with these quarterly meetings. You really have to think ahead. We usually do this, at our meeting early April, and then we always have the event late April, so a couple weeks later, but this is well in advance. But again, our next scheduled quarterly meeting now would be in May, unless we did feel the need to meet before that.
Donnie. Number 4, the OHV Park.
Yes, and this one is just pertaining to our annual grant that we submit to the state. And we had talked about earlier in this meeting how we spent some of that grant funding from last year on buying that used dozer. This year, the public comment period is from March 2nd to May the 3rd. And how this grant application works is city staff will submit a preliminary application, and that's due on March the 1st. And then after that, there's 2 months where the public can actually review all of the grant applications online throughout the state, and the public can comment on any of the applications. And then if there are public comments, then city staff has a chance to incorporate what those ideas are if they're feasible. And so the state really wants the community's buy-in and for the people that are applying for this grant to utilize that public input and incorporate it into their grant. So we would at that time review after the public comment period is over. And if there were public comments, we would look to incorporating those comments. And then we resubmit the final version of the grant. And then we will find out, typically it's gonna be, I think around the first week in August now is when they move that awarding date too. So this again is just more of an informational item, just to let you know, and the public, since it's a public meeting tonight, that public comment period is coming up. And we'd be happy to answer any questions. But this one, the funding really keeps the doors open out there at the OHV Park. It fully funds our operations for equipment and for staffing out there. And so that's that item.
Thank you. So now on to scheduled matters. Item number 5, pool concession license agreement renewal.
All right. And after 3 years of the current agreement with Valley Paradigm, who, when they first got the concession license for the city pool, they were under SM Transit, and then they formed a nonprofit, and that's where this Valley Paradigm name came about. And so they have expressed interest to renew their current license agreement at the pool, and that would be for another 3 years. And city staff has had no issues. It's been really a good relationship with them. We've received public comments, never any complaints. It's been a good thing, a lot better than some of the vendors that we've had in previously. So this would be something that if the commission wished to do so, they would provide a recommendation to the city council as far as renewing this agreement with Valley Paradigm for an additional 3 years. The payment that they make is monthly and it's $250. And what we typically do on other concession license agreements is we look at the consumer price index every year, and we adjust the fees that they pay based on the increase on the consumer price index. So that's what we would be proposing to do in this case as well. So last year they didn't get to operate just because of COVID-19, and it wasn't allowed. And this year it's still to be determined if they'll be allowed to open or not. It's to be determined if we're even allowed to open the pool, which we were last summer, but food and eating was not allowed. Mainly it's just one more way that people have to, open their mouth and get close to, high contacts as far as close to the concession stand area and all sorts of different things, sharing of food and drinks and things like that. And so those are some of the reasons why it wasn't allowed last summer. So be happy to answer any questions, and that's what that item is about.
Please open the pool.
Yeah.
And they've always done a good job every year that we go out. I mean, I never buy anything from them because I'm a horrible mom, but they do a good job, and it always smells good. The popcorn and it just, yeah. Anyway, so you need a motion on that one?
We do, yes. If the commission, whether or not they would like to make a recommendation on renewing that agreement.
All right. Any discussion? May I get a motion on that?
So moved.
May I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? We're good? Any concerns? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks like the motion passes. Thank you, Donnie. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the Parks Maintenance Report.
Okay, I guess that's me. We'll get Amy to bring the slide up. Okay. We can go to that next one of Zallett Park there, Amy. Okay, this is the Zallett Park. At our last meeting, they completed the Veterans Park bathroom. This is the Zallett Park one. They've actually kind of look both the same. But we've got them both complete now, and it's unbelievable how nice these things really look. This need to be done for a long time, and they look really nice right now. Okay, we go to the next one, Amy. This is the Henry Street property that Donnie was talking about. This is with CSET. This is basically their phase one of their grant money that they've got. And they've actually cleaned up the whole middle island of this thing and are been working on the banks of it and stuff. And the picture on the right, it shows where the cobblestone, that's actually the water that comes in from across the street from the Murray Park ditch. It comes across and it's actually going to run down this little cobblestone creek into this pond once we get it all completed and stuff. And they've done a lot of work out there, and it looks really, what they've done looks really nice. They actually got a little bit of water in it now from the rain, so that's kind of slowed them down a little bit on the around the pond part and stuff. Okay, Amy, go to the next one. This is the weed abatement program that Donnie was talking about. This is some of the stuff that we have to do. This was actually over on Porter Road between Morton and Putnam. This is these homeless people, they camp out under these bridges. So the code enforcement gets involved in it, and they give them like 24 hours to vacate the premises, take what they want. And you'd be surprised at the stuff they take with them. And then we have to go through, our weed abatement guy who has to go through and clean this up. So this will kind of be an ongoing project for us. And on top of this, we'll actually be doing the weed abatement that's due, I believe it's the end of April, I believe it is where we have to do all the disking of all the city lots, of our lots to knock the weeds down to keep from fire hazard. We got to do the riverbed. Well, actually, I'll work with Kathy Capone on her gardens out there. I'll find out exactly where her gardens are so we be sure not disc them. Last year, the contractor they had actually went right through her gardens and tore all of her gardens up. We don't want to do that because they put a lot of work in out there and stuff. But this is some of the stuff that we do. And this actually took about 3 or 4 guys, almost 8 hours to clean this whole mess here up and stuff. Okay, next one, Amy. This is a community project from a young, this guy's an 8th grader. His name is Ryan Rios, I guess it is. He's from Summit Charter Immediate Academy. And I guess they have to do a yearly community project to be able to pass their school year of 8th grade. And this young gentleman here, he reached out to Donnie and myself to plant a couple trees in the park and stuff. So he put in a couple sycamore trees, and this is over at Veterans Park, south of the skate park that he put these in. And then I guess the rest of the money that he raised, the way his parents talked, he was going to donate to the forestry, and they're going to plant trees somewhere up in the forest and stuff. But the answer he gave me I asked him why he wanted to plant the trees in the park. And he said, because he wants to bring his kids by to watch these trees grow and stuff and show them that he planted these as a project and stuff, which I thought was kind of neat and stuff. So really nice kid and stuff. Okay, next one, Amy. This is the Centennial Plaza roof that Donnie was talking about. We got the money for. This roof was in bad shape, and it kind of shows the process that they do. And it's like a foam roof and stuff, and it's all sealed with a somewhere between a 8 to 10 year warranty or something like that. It's kind of like the same roof we had on City Hall and stuff. So these guys did a really wonderful job, and it actually saves us a lot of time from having to go fix leaks all the time in the roofs.
I was shocked they needed to redo that so quickly because that building's not that old.
It's not, but it just had regular roll roofing on it before. And this is the new state-of-the-art way of doing it, is by putting the foam on it, and it seals everything.
Oh,
The
wow.
roll roofing, if you'll see on the left where you see the little white lines, that's where they've sealed where the roll roofing connects together. And that's usually where it'll blister up. And that's where the leaks will go through there, or the AC units or the drains and stuff. And they patch all that and then coat the whole thing with the spray. And City Hall has done the same way. And actually our warranty over there is up now. So, and I just presented Donnie with an estimate on getting another 10-year warranty on that one. And this is actually very expensive to do this, but it lasts us a long time.
Wow.
So, okay, next one, Amy. This is olive street trees. These trees have not been trimmed. I've been here 34 years and I don't think they've ever been trimmed. So I've got a couple of guys that are actually doing a pretty good job, and they're going to trim them all up, thin them out so we can see the military banners. And hopefully we can keep this up every year just to be able to see the banners, because when these trees are so full, you can't see the banners and stuff. So they've actually got all the way from, I believe they went from East Street, and they're all the way down to I think it's down by Cottage, somewhere down by Pritchett Cycles, or somewhere down in that area is where they're at. So our goal is to get all the way down to Westwood before Memorial Day and stuff. Okay, this is Fallen Heroes Park. This was actually done on January 20th for the 2 firefighters that lost their lives. They're actually going to have a memorial service, I believe, coming up here real soon. And this is actually going to be part of it and stuff. And I'm very proud to have this at one of our parks, this memorial wall on the south side of the bathroom for fallen heroes and stuff. And I believe that thing's coming out February 20th or somewhere around that area. I believe it is.
It's the 18th is the
18th.
1 year anniversary. So that's when they're going to do it.
Okay. Well, that's 2 days off. So, but that's when they're going to do it. And I think it's going to be a good program and stuff. Okay. Next one. That's all we got. Thank you.
They'll be promoting that. You'll be able to, I'm sure the paper will cover it as far as how you can virtually, watch that ceremony.
Yeah.
So it's
I
not
see the
gonna be-
fire department's already got it posted out on Facebook and everything to where you can watch it virtually and stuff.
I want to tell you thank you, because I have used the restrooms at Zalad Park before and they were gross. So thank you for taking care of that. And
They're really nice.
On Olive Street and on Henderson, you guys are doing awesome. Thank you so much. The medians,
Yeah. We're getting there. Yeah, we got one more island to do on Henderson that we're going to try to catch up, weather permitting.
And it was nice when I went out and saw the gardens. Kathy's got a bunch of cement around her gardens. So she's thinking ahead. She's doing a great job. So, but thank you. You're doing a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Amy, yay! Leisure activities report. Thank you.
Let me see if I can get it going and talk at the same time. Oh. Sorry about that. All right, hopefully you can see my screen now. All right, so I'll catch you guys up on what we've been doing. I know it's been a while since I have seen you all. So I will fill you in on what we have been had going on since about last November that I've seen you. We hosted our virtual Veterans Day run, which took place basically the week prior to Veterans Day, and then on the day of Veterans Day was the final day that people could submit their time. So what it was is people signed up, they got all the swag like they normally would, and then they did the run that they signed up for on their own time. And we tracked their time by using an app where they kind of shared their run with us. And that's how we were able to kind of rank people and then give out medals even for the top runners. We have typically about 500 people plus in our normal race. We weren't sure what to expect this year with this new format, but we got just over 200. We had 206 runners and walkers out there that week prior to the race doing it. And we were really excited with that turnout. And I think people were really excited to have something to do. I had one runner who's been in it every year. He's a local doctor, and he said, oh, it was just nice to have something to look forward to. Even if we weren't able to get together, it was just something that I could plan, and I knew I was, accounted for doing this. And it was kind of awesome to see. So we had everybody kind of share their photos with us. So hopefully you can see all those photos. If they shared their photo, they got entered into a raffle to get entry for next year. But I think it just showed that people were still having fun, and it still felt like a community, even though we were kind of far apart. We were able to connect through this app mostly, and then on social media. So those are just a few photos. We have a commissioner that actually did the race herself with a few friends. So it seemed to bring together pods of people who had already been hanging out. Maybe they didn't all come together on that race day, but it seemed like a few people who maybe had been working out together already participated and did the run together. And a lot of people did it that day. We also hosted a Christmas home decorating contest. We had such luck with our Halloween home decorating contest, so we decided to bring it back for Christmas. We had 24 entries this year, which was wonderful. I don't think we could have managed any more. We had 2 nights of judging. I want to thank Commissioners Garola, Graybell, Daly, and then even Pommier was able to join us kind of on his own time. He went out and saw the home. So I'll show you the winners, but I think it was just another great thing. We were able to connect with the community, even though we couldn't be with them in person. We had 24 homes, and we had 1,000+ views of the map that we shared, which was had all the homes located, from the contest on there. So people were out driving around, looking at all the homes, doing their own judging. And we even ran into them while we were judging. So it was great to see that, because these people put a lot of effort into these homes. It's incredible what they did. So I'll show you the winners here. This was 3rd place. This was on Salisbury, kind of on the west side of town. The night we went over there, there was a Santa dressed up. There was music going. This person's car was completely decked out. It's pretty impressive. We also went right across the street and saw their first place winner, which we'll get to. So they had this whole neighborhood of competing homes, including 3 more on the next street. So it was this whole block competing against each other. They had a trolley going around. They had music in the streets. So it was a pretty impressive sight. Our 2nd place winner was from 106 North Sierra. That was all the way on the other side of town, on the east side of town. This was a 1st place winner from our home decorating contest for Halloween. You can't really see all the intricate details that they put into this, but it is just completely decked out, hand done, all the decorations. It's really impressive. So they got 2nd place, and then this was 1st place. Again, you probably can't see all the decorations, but there wasn't a free space anywhere in their yard that you could have put more in there. And again, this is where the trolley was pulling up and had a Santa out there. Everybody was dressed up. So we were pretty impressed by this one, but overall we were impressed by all of them. You know, it just, each of them had a really unique thing to offer. So we were grateful that people shared it with us and shared it with the rest of the community. We've been carrying on our virtual bingo. We started that back in October and ran it every Friday through December. And we had such a good, regular crowd that we decided to keep it going in the new year. So we do that every first Friday of the month. So we'll have it tomorrow night and then again in March, just so it's not as regular. People can look forward to something. So every first Friday, we've been having over 100 join us, and we just try to get local businesses to sponsor if they can. We don't give out huge prizes, but we give out a couple gift cards here and there. And I think people just love the idea of having an activity to do with their families. It seems like we have a lot of families that gather around and play together. So, and as Donnie mentioned, we had the Portable Military Banner Program application deadline just ended on Monday, I believe, the 1st. So we had 123 applications this year, another huge amount that we'll be putting up in the community. It's impressive. We every year think that we're gonna only get, last year was huge, so we're not gonna have that many, but 123 is another huge number. So those will be going up for Memorial Day. I did add the map in case you're interested. If anybody asks, the yellow indicates where you guys and the council agreed that we could continue putting up banners. The red is where the banners already are. So once we meet with that committee that will be more focused on the military banners, we'll probably determine exactly where we're going to put them and based on how many spaces we have available. We are starting up an esports series, trying to get kids engaged. We know they're online a lot, but we figured why don't we join them online and get them playing games with us. So Rocket League is a combination of soccer and fast cars. I haven't played exactly myself, but I hear it's very awesome game for all ages, rated E for everyone. So we've started registration. That registration will end on the 17th, and I believe we'll play on the 19th. We'll start our tournament style gaming. So again, it's all from home and virtual, but we're still trying to connect with them. There's just a small fee of $5 to play. And I think all ages can enjoy it. We've already had kind of all the range of ages sign up for it. So we're looking forward to that. And if that goes well, we'll maybe add different games in the future based on feedback. So some of the future activities that we're thinking about, we're trying to plan for like a family Easter scavenger hunt. I don't know if we quite have the name figured out yet, but instead of, collecting eggs or doing an egg hunt all together, we thought about putting together a scavenger hunt where they'd have to go find an egg, maybe in a park that's hidden in there, and they'd get this list of, clues that they'd have to go out, and then maybe we'd have some volunteer out at the park, and if they made it to that location, we check them off, and if they completed it, they might get like a small prize or something. So we're trying to figure out something to do for Easter. If we can't do the egg hunt, we're still going to do something. We're also thinking about a virtual fitness challenge. So kind of just going off the success of the Veterans Day run, we thought we'd bring in a fitness challenge. It would just, again, be tracking your total time moving. We'd set a period of time. I'm thinking about probably 2 months, trying to get 1,000 minutes of time. That could include everything from, you're working out just to maybe doing chores at home, just making sure you're tracking it. And then you can get some cool swag if you get through certain points of the challenge. So I think we're going to try that in the next few months, just to keep the momentum going with our Veterans Day run. We have some other ideas too that we're going to maybe try out. We're open to ideas if anybody has any. We kind of are working with other communities up and down the state. We all kind of pay attention to what they're doing, see if anything works, and we're open to trying anything. We're thinking about trying to promote, your foot golf and your tennis a little bit more. We're hoping to have some type of track season since we can do that, and then maybe like a fishing derby and skills camps as we're allowed. So if there's any ideas you ever want to bring to the table, we are totally open to them. And that is all I have.
Amy, I just have to tell you, we really enjoyed the lights. The Christmas lights were really cool. And we're going to try the virtual bingo at work. So I'll let you know how it goes because it's a lot of fun. I'm hoping kids will participate and be engaged. And so thank you for all that you're doing. It looks amazing. And I know my husband enjoyed the virtual run. I didn't do it, but glad somebody did. I'm glad Diane did it. So she should run for me too.
She
right.
goes to walk. There's a walk and a run. So.
Oh, okay. Well, same thing. That's okay. All right. Thank you, Amy. You're awesome. Donnie, scheduled items for future meetings.
Right. I'm sure one of the items will kind of cover our upcoming budget forecast. That would be at the time when we're developing our budget and almost having it all finished. And so we could give you just some projections prior to them going to city council and probably talking about some potential priority projects of the council. They will have made those decisions, I believe, prior to our next meeting. So I'll give you an update on parks and leisure related priority projects of the city council for the next fiscal year, July 1 to June 30th. So that's one item, and I'm sure there will be many more since we're only meeting quarterly. There'll be a lot of other things popping up between now and then. And if there's any other things that the commission would like to add, be happy to do that.
Can I make a request to hear about the library at some point, like what the plans are and all that stuff?
Sure. Yeah, that would be
They have the temp library over in the grocery outlet building, correct?
You're correct. Yes. And we don't have a projected opening date yet, but we do have the green light for that. And library staff is working right now on getting that. Right now, it's just a vanilla shell building. There's never been a tenant inside of it. And so they're going to be working very hard, going as quick as they can to get that up and ready for the public to be open. The goal probably would be, I would say June 1, just roughly. That would ballpark be a time. So by our May meeting, we should have a good progress update for that.
I know that doesn't really fall under us, but I just want to hear. So thank you.
Well, Parks and Leisure, actually, library falls under Parks and Leisure. It's just different because they have their separate library and literacy commission as well as the Parks and Leisure Services Commission. So it gets a little confusing sometimes, but libraries definitely falls under Parks and Leisure. So we can give that update.
That, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yep, you're right.
Okay. Anybody else? Any requests? Other matters of information, Donnie?
One item I was going to bring up is the Clampers. I guess you can call them a service organization. They're proposing to do a project this year and to put in something similar to what you see on the screen on the grounds of Zalad House Museum. They've done a lot of work at the Zalad House over the years, little capital projects, improvements that we've shown some to the commission before, but they have dedicated a lot of time. It's one of their main, I guess, places they've adopted over the years to get back to. And so we're forever grateful with all the work that they've done, and they want to continue to do something similar to that, which is what they've done there on Olive. And so just wanted to give you a heads up that you might be seeing something coming forward regarding the Clampers and that project, which the Zalad House Museum, as you know, does fall under Parks and Leisure as well. So and the only other matter I have is I'd just like to thank Mr. Maddox and Ms. Graybill for all that they're doing. And these times, it's just crazy. So the park staff, all that they're doing out there with either modified, ways they can do things and, different all the precautions and getting the things now ready for the public. One of the most exciting things that we had approved on Tuesday night was that our playgrounds are back open now, as well as the skate park. So the parks crew has been putting up all the signage for that, and Ms. Graybell's designed all the signage, and she's been doing tons of public relations work for the city, as well as tons of other things. And so just like to thank those two. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. And when's our next meeting, Johnny?
May the 6th. So we'll, until further notice, it's hard to say if we'll get back to, monthly at some point, but for now, all the commissions and committees are staying consistent and meeting quarterly. So May 6th at 5:30 will be our next meeting, if you don't hear different.
When do you anticipate that they will, the city council will discuss the Prop 68 and the CDBG? When's that gonna go to them? Or?
The CDBG, there'll be an item either at the next council meeting or the one after that. That one is a little more time sensitive because that funding is this current fiscal year, which ends in June. And the other item, the Prop 68 per capita, I would predict, I'm going to hopefully get that to the council, I would say in the March or April timeframe. So not before too long here, because we'd like to get those approvals going and see what direction we're going to go on that too. Since as soon as we turn in the application and they accept it, then we could start work. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Anything else? Are we good? Okay. All right. So we can adjourn the meeting at 7 o'clock. All right. Awesome. All right. I need a gavel.
Yes.